All right, it's 10 o'clock a.m. on Wednesday, the 18th of December. My name is Russ Fitzpatrick, and I am the Keyda coach for HBN. I've been hired because I have a background coaching residential real estate agents for about almost 40 years, to tell you the truth. I hired my first personal assistant in 1987, and I started to coach my employees on how to execute my residential real estate business plan. Having said that, I'm also free. We don't charge any money. I'm a volunteer to the Hero Benefits Network in my retirement, and I have no ulterior motive in my relationship for you or with you other than your production. So I want to remind everybody this is not a certification to learn about Hero Benefits Network, and this is not an orientation for you to get your marketing materials and your memes and your social media videos and all the stuff that we gift to you. That's not what this is for. This is for a call to action. What are we going to do together during 2025 to move the needle of your production and income? That's what we're trying to talk about. So I'm going to start out with an Alton Brown quote that baking is science and it is precise. That the basic difference between cooking and baking is precision. That if you're off by an eighth or a quarter of a teaspoon with baking powder, or if you're off with yeast, or if you're off with heat, or if you're off with time, or if you're off with flour, or you knead it wrong, you don't follow the damn recipe, you get screwed. Alton Brown often compares baking to chemistry, where precision and understanding the science behind the ingredients are crucial for success. Well, I feel the exact same way about residential real estate after 40 years. I almost think of it like you go down to Key West, right? And you rent a boat and you go out fishing. You're screwed, but you don't even know you're screwed. You don't even know what you're doing probably. But when you go out with a charter captain in Key West, man, you're hitting fish right off the shore, man. Sailfish, tarpon, blue, tuna. You're killing it because you know the difference between operating like a professional and operating like a novice. And baking versus cooking is what I use to explain the difference between elite realtors and average realtors. Average realtors are cooking, throw a little this, try this, keep going. Elite realtors are baking. They're using precision ingredients with precision timing, with precision recipes to make everything work well. So what we're going to do for you today is we're going to cover a couple of individual income generation plans and kind of define the difference between precision and speculative, activities that you don't know whether they're going to produce for you or not. This was an elite agent. We went down to Tallahassee, went to the Champions Club in Tallahassee last year, and we sat with some agents, top tier, Keller Williams, Sotheby's, Coldwell Banker agents. And we sat around and we talked about their plans, and the elite agents, making $200,000 and $300,000 a year really didn't have much stress. When we talked to them about their plan, it was like, yeah, my sphere of influence does a couple $1,000,000 a year. My past customers do almost $3 million a year. Networking, they're in this V&I group or whatever, and they're knocking down a couple $1,000,000 a year from that. And they have a community leadership role. They have a following. They've created a fellowship. And in their church, they absolutely do an extra $1.5 million a year. So you're talking about a $9 million realtor that pretty much just works their sphere of influence. Then you've got this more emerging real estate agent. And I wanted to discuss this for just a moment because not every real estate agent that I talk to is already doing $300,000 a year, right? We have to talk to agents that want to do $300,000 a year, not that already do $300,000 a year. So if I were, I'm sorry, this is a really, really important differentiation in baking versus cooking. Let's go back to this guy, whole business just on sphere of influence, $300,000 a year. This guy, no sphere of influence, no past customers, no fellowship, no leadership. He's not well known in the community. So he has to do seller direct campaigns, targeting Airbnb owners, landlords, vacant residents, and focus on what your company just listed or just sold, and also focus on distressed sellers. Then he added a farm area of only 1,000 homes, right? Only 1,000 homes. He started doing 25 handwritten notes per week. That's not a lot. Like 25 handwritten notes per week, blue ink. Return address is vague. It doesn't say Prudential on it. It doesn't say Remax on it. It doesn't say Caldwell Banker. Just a vague return address in blue ink. And here's this kid starts doing these videos. They're called Guru in You videos. They're like the Guru in You. How are you showing up on your social media, and how are you leveraging the power of video in your social media? So how can you become a social media influencer? Now we take a kid who's newer to the business, who doesn't have the same sphere of influence and past customers, but absolutely needs to make 10 grand a month, 15 grand a month, 20 grand a month right away. Well, those are the kids, and I use the word kids because I think of emerging real estate agents, because they don't have that foundational base of a farm area or anything built yet. So you've got to start from scratch. And we do that with realtors, and we're able to start from scratch and do things like I'm going to go back here real quick. Hero Benefits Network marketing, Guru and You, social media, video marketing, focusing on handwritten notes to the right people. And we call that process list to last, because we believe that the old adage in residential real estate was always list to last. Like in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, guys like Floyd Wickman, Mike Ferry, Craig Proctor, Brian Buffini, Tom Hopkins, Walter Sanford, they all focused their coaching on listings, not on buyers. And I'll show you why today. But the list to last adage that is 40 years deep really has changed since the NAR settlement to list or die. And I want to explain why I will stand on a soapbox and scream this until someone gets it. These changes that were made are serious. The commission's lawsuit irrevocably, at least for now, until an appeal. If we win an appeal, which is unlikely, the lawsuit will be changed. But right now, your MLS doesn't have to offer commissions anymore, right? Well, that's cute. That's new. We got to go through another website to find out how much the commissions is, or we have to call a listing agent, or we have to text them, or we have to, whatever. You got to find out what your commission is, and you got to struggle with buyer brokerage agreements and getting them signed and requiring your buyers to pay commissions in case the listings don't. But what happens next year? What happens next year is that the listing agents start to become pricks. I'm saying this as if I'm talking to the president of NAR. I've met these listing agents. They're smart, steely-eyed smart. They're creative. They're cunning. They're elite. And they will screw you over if they can. That's where you're going to see manifestation over the next 6 to 18 months. You're going to see what we call pocket listings. Now, I always took pocket listings, 80s, 90s, 2000s. It's illegal. It's illegal. No, it's not illegal. Nothing's illegal as long as the seller says it's okay. The seller says, do not put my listing in the inventory for 2 weeks because I need to get this house ready. But he signs a listing with me 2 weeks early, but he not wanting me to put it in MLS for 2 weeks. That's called a pocket listing, and it's not illegal. Wait until the spring of 2025, excuse me. Wait until the interest rates dip a half a point or a point. Wait until the listing agents have a chance to screw you out of the buyer side commissions and keep those listings inside of their team and release them inside of the team for a month before they ever release them to you, and pay a 0% commission for the first month. Do you not believe that that's going to happen in your local market? Well, you don't know asshole listing agents who are greedy bastards like me. I can't say it any other way. I'm a greedy bastard. If I have a chance to make 6% commission and my seller tells me don't put it in the MLS for a month or a week or two, aren't I going to try to sell that property to my buyers and my team's buyers before I sell it to you? Isn't that the truth about 2025? So your lead conversion metrics are not contingent on interest rates anymore. Shit, I don't care if interest rates are 11% or 5%. If there's no listings, you can't sell anything. And if a third of the listings in your MLS don't have a listing side commission by the middle of 2025, wait and see what happens. Zillow and Realtor.com keep upping their fees because they know that if you buy 1,000 leads from them, then only 3 or 4 of them are going to go to closing, 5 or 6, So instead, they're charging you 25 and 30 and 40% buyer side referral fees. You're seeing companies like OpCity and larger lead aggregate companies like Realtor.com are starting to give realtors an opportunity to say, hey, you don't have to pay us per lead. Just give us 40% of your commission. And that's not a joke, guys. The reason that this is tipping in this direction is not just the commission lawsuit. It's simply the inventory. Whenever the inventory is low, the buyer's agents are screwed and the listing agents are glorified. So sometimes listings are hard to get and easy to sell. That's where we're at right now. Hard to get, easy to sell. And then sometimes listings are easy to get and hard to sell, like 2009, for example. But when listings are hard to get and really, really easy to sell, referral fees go up, buyer side commissions go down, buyer agents get screwed, and listing agents are the king of the world. And I don't need you to agree with me. I've lived it for 40 years, and I've lived the amazing 11% interest rates of the 80s. I've lived the incredible boom of 2009 and 10 and 11 when we were coming back. I experienced the boom after COVID, during COVID. I mean, come on. 1988 interest rates were 10.38 and there was no listings. So I went out and started listing houses. In 2008, the crash happened. I listed 170 houses in 6 months during the foreclosure pandemic. And I charged $500 a listing, by the way, before it was illegal. I didn't know it was illegal. I went into a living room and said, I'm not going to take a short sale listing, work it for 6 months, and then not have the bank approve it. So you got to pay me $500 up front. And that little $500 check that I got at the beginning of a listing paid my family $5,000 a month during 2008 when this shit was hitting the fan. I'm not kidding. I charged $500 a listing, and I took about 10 listings a month. Some months I took more, and some months I took less. Well, 2024 represented the largest inventory crisis I've personally ever faced, and the home purchase affordability inflation went out of control. Oh, by the way, Carrie's way better looking than she was in 2008, and I think I'm even better looking than I was in 2008. But 88, I was looking pretty slick. So, list to last. This week, this is a fact, and I'm giving you this as a show of encouragement. Carrie has started to really tell people about this, and we're starting to see the reality. If you own a triplex that you've owned for 20 years, if you own a duplex, if you own a quadplex, if you own an apartment complex, if you own a single family home that's vacant, if you own a single family home that's rented to a tenant, if you own an Airbnb, if you own a distressed property of any kind, your equity position is the highest it's ever been. And the ease of selling that property is also at the highest it's ever been. So we only sent out 145 texts to sellers, and 40 of them responded to us, no, and 7 said yes. So we ended up booking 4 listing consultations. We call ours relocation analysis. We want to set up a relocation analysis. We want to discuss what it feels like to sell a home here in Coral Springs, Florida, and move to Keokuk, Iowa. What does it feel like to live in Palm Beach, Florida, and then move to Jupiter? 3 ongoing prospects, probably taking listings as a direct result of simply sending a text message to sellers. This is not Mike Ferry's cold call cowboy anymore. I was a cold call cowboy for 40 years. But today, sliding into somebody's DM is not only a cute statement, but it freaking works. Sending a text, seems impersonal or inappropriate, but it works. Using Twilio to send out 100 texts. They don't know you sent it to 100 people in Twilio. They think you only sent it to them. So 3,500 transactions, sold 650 homes in one day, the best day of my life. 170 listings in 7 months, averaged 160 transactions per year. I was a regional franchise owner, and I sold my training platform for $6.5 million. So I'd like to share with you the recipe for success. Carrie's FinTechian administration and the introduction of Kenny, our technology celebrity, has irrevocably eradicated cold calling. It's actually kind of eliminated prospecting because a lot of the prospecting that we can do now is automated. So here's a lady who was making $300K in commissions when the average sale price was under 200, like 200, 225. And it's this automation that we want to talk about with you, to focus on the idea that you as an HBN representative would start to focus on world-class service and a listing-centered relationship, a listing-centric purpose-driven relationships towards listings. And the reason we feel so strongly about this, and we did this in front of 10 broker owners not long ago, and we had all 10 of them signed up. Like, these were 20 and 30-year veteran broker owners, and all of them agreed with this. You can turn on a faucet and get 100 buyers a week. I could sell you 100 buyers for $3 a pop. I can sell you decent buyers through programs like YLOPO and KB Core for $15 to $20 a pop. You don't ever have to, even if you didn't have a real estate, you just buy them. It's free. I mean, you pay money. $1,500 buys 100 listings. You get up into the Realtor.com and Zillow levels, and you're talking about $40 or $50 a lead, or 25 to 30% referral fees, or 40% referral fees, right? So Zillow's new referral fees and Realtor.com's referral fees. And what a lot of agents try to do on this side of the faucet is just give up. They just give up. They say, I'm going to join a team. I don't need to produce my own leads or buy my own leads. I'm just going to join a team, kind of suck on the bottom of the shark with a Remora's suction cup, right? Just become a parasite. Or you could plant your own flag. You could establish your own ownership. You can source your own supply. You can dig your own well. See, rather than going to his well or your team leader's well for transactional volume, you can create your own following, differentiate yourself. But what you have to do in order to do that is you have to stand out from the sea of sameness. You can't look the same as all other realtors, and you can't hide your light under a bushel. Like, you have to shine. And the sea of sameness is easy to shine out of. Hell, every top realtor that I know, and I know a couple thousand of them, a couple hundred of them are on speed dial that make over $1 million a year. When I talk to them, they act like they are the hot knife and you are the butter. Agents who are making $1 million a year, 600,000, 700,000, $1.5 million, they don't stay in the sea of your sameness. They put a lot of signs in the ground. And if you're hiding in the normal real estate agents in your community, you're drowning in the sea of sameness. And the way emerging agents look at residential real estate is the opposite of how top realtors look at real estate. Top realtors might see one of these as a tool because the CRM is good for managing their team. They might see one as a tool because they have a system that they're happy with inside of it. But most of the agents that I talk to, and I think most of the agents that you talk to, if you just ask them, will tell you they hate all these things. I don't want to deal with HomeLight. I don't want to deal with KB Core. I don't want to deal with Chime. I don't want to deal with Sync. I want to manage my own funnel And if I have to use a CRM, I will. Now, the proof is in the pudding. And I'm only going to start this video for a second. This is so funny. Every one of the broker owners knew exactly what I was trying to say here, so I'm going to do my best. Just watch this. I don't think you can hear the audio on my thing. Okay, I'm gonna turn that off. There's Lori, there's Mark, there's Rob. Right? These are three of the top residential real estate agents in your profession, and none of them are advertising for buyers. So none of them are focused on these tools. Only emerging agents or top agents that use this tool to manage emerging agents are going to use these tools. Their job, your job, if you choose to accept it, is to create relocation analysis. Start to have meaningful dialogue with people who are thinking about selling their home. That's what Rob D does. That's what Lori does. That's what Mark does. They do not need to prospect buyers. The reason that elite realtors work sellers over buyers is because buyers take too long. Without including the 5 buyers who don't buy a house, you're talking 28 hours for every buyer who does buy a house. So if you took out 3 or 4 buyers who didn't buy a house, you probably got 100 hours invested in the one buyer that does buy a house. With sellers, on the other hand, every single seller that I sign averages 7 hours, and my personal assistant does 5 of them. So I work 2 hours a week. 2 hours a seller, and I make more money than you make per buyer, right? And you know that if you're a listing agent, so you don't take that as an offense if I said you, because you're already a listing agent, so you know this. But when I see emerging agents from Coldwell Banker, Remax, ERA, Century 21, Coldwell Banker, Weichert, focusing on buyer leads, 40, 50, 60 hours a week, I already know that they're broke. And especially in 2024, moving into 2025, it's almost impossible to fit enough hours in at an average price point of 500,000 with buyers. If every buyer you got is 750 and you sold 1 for every 4 buyers you took out, yeah, you could make a living, but 28 hours is a lot more than 7, and it does not include the buyers that don't buy. So let's talk about the golden rule of real estate once and for all, and then we're going to give you an assignment and wrap up for the day. By the way, anyone who's a member of HBN can call me on my cell phone, text me on my cell phone, or reach out to Devin at 1-800-299-WORKS to get any of these tools for free. We don't charge any money. We're a nonprofit. But the bearer of bad news is that 2025 will be the golden rule of real estate. The golden rule of real estate is the realtor with the gold makes the rule. Property listings are going to become the most important part of your career, and you might be better off to focus on it now. Well, you have a couple months to prepare. My experience over the last 40 years is that one listing brings in about 30 buyers. It's the lowest cost of lead that I can generate. No Realtor.com purchase, Plus, when people call me on that listing, and I'm the listing agent, they assume I'm the expert. And I've got a hook with them because I'm the source of that neighborhood information, access to that house, and all the marketing and other houses. I always use the term bump to subdivisions. I don't bump to houses anymore. I used to, but I bump to other subdivisions. So I might say something like this. I would say, Eagle Trace is a fantastic subdivision. It's a 4-3 that you're looking at. It's got a great big wraparound patio, beautiful dormer windows in the front, and really a great backyard. Have you ever shopped in out in Sevierville? There's a little neighborhood called Hawks Cay. Have you ever been in Hawks Cay? Well, what that bump to does with my own buyers is it shows I'm not just an expert in this one listing, but I have other communities that I represent as well. And that's when they start to say, oh, this guy's an expert. This guy knows what he's doing. So, of course, the recipe includes just listed and just sold, successes and testimonials, marketing around your successes, and social media. In fact, I would suggest once and for all that you start to leverage the power of video on social media if you don't already, and leverage the long shelf life of your success and testimonials. In other words, if you just sold a house in March of 2024, you can still just sell that same house and put the seller's testimonial in November of 25, or I'm sorry, in January, February, March of 25. Like, there's no shelf life expiration on a seller telling everyone that you did a great job. And that's what underachieving realtors think. Like, they think, well, I haven't sold a house since last year. Well, start using the term we then. We sold. We just listed. We just sold. And your brokerage does a lot more business than you do. So you have a lot more testimonial and success to brag about. This is going to be potentially irritating to some of you, but I hope it represents sort of the conundrum in a way. See, I've been with top realtors last year and the year before, and top bankers and stuff, and they were just willing to throw $20,000 and $30,000 a month, at Realtor.com and Zillow. But I said to one of them, what if you took a portion of that money and just sent it in 73-cent stamps to sellers who already want to sell their house? A handwritten note. What if I could prove to you? What if I could prove to you that every 100 notes equals a listing appointment? What if I could prove that to you, that $73 buys a listing appointment? Like, that's a good value. Make a call, picking up the telephone and calling before sale bond or expired, or door knocking. God, that's pathetic. That's so 80s, Russ. You're so freaking stupid. Why would anybody go knock on a door of a person who's thinking about selling their house? That's just sophomoric, Russ. That's like so antiquated. Yeah, but it works. What about sliding into a DM? Like, you got the chief of police who just got hired. He's getting a $70,000 a year raise because he's moving to chief. And you send him a DM and you say, congratulations, I work with Hero Benefits. I saw you just got a promotion. Did you know there's a $10,000 relocation grant for all chiefs? Would you like to promote this out to your other officers? We are specializing in Leo, law enforcement officers, and send them a DM. Is that hard? Expired listings, the hardest job I've ever done. I did it for 30 years. I called them every morning. I hated it. Absolutely hated expired listings, but I made so much freaking money. I don't think I made less than 100 grand on expired listings any year from like 89 to probably 2000 and whatever. I don't know. But if you can start to text owners, especially buy owners, expireds, landlords, people in Airbnb, start to find cell phone numbers and text them, you'll be shocked at how effective that is. Obviously, most of our experienced realtors have a large sphere of influence. But if you don't have a sphere of influence, you can start to just go database mining. Meaning, let's grab a database of all the cops, or let's grab a database of all the firefighters, and let's just start database mining, right? Instead of our farm. A lot of broke realtors still think bulk mail is antiquated. They think that because of the digital age and what they read on, what they read about is that bulk mail is dead. But I talked to a guy who took 400 listings last year from bulk mail. I talked to a lady who took 120 listings a year from bulk mail. I talk to people every day in communities all across America that consistently, one of my oldest mentors in Parkland, Florida, still makes 600 grand a year. And she's like 100. But she still uses bulk direct mail today and takes listings. So, that's because she's 100. No, it's because it works. There's no other reason to do bulk mail other than it works. So when you start to build a farm area, you say, hey, bulk mail is one of my tools. What other tools do I have in my farm area? Can I build squeeze pages in my farm area? Can I do different things in my farm area that Carrie teaches on Farming Fridays? What about this mantra that is coming down from on high from residential real estate, from the Mark Spains, from the Lori Finkelstein readers, from the Rob D's, from the amazing elite $600, $700, $800, $900 million a year realtors telling you every day, leverage the power of video, leverage the power of video, leverage the power of video. And then you've got, this idea that there's squeeze pages at the bottom of every video, right? So there's this video that gets their attention called The Guru and You. You become the guru. You don't abdicate the guru status to Mark Spain. You'll get screwed. Don't abdicate the guru status to Rob D. Become the guru in you and post a video that's 30 seconds long. And we have the scripts. We have the teleprompters. We have the language that Mark Spain uses. We have the words that Lori Reader uses. We have the words that Rob D uses. And guess what? You're not competing with Mark Spain if you're not in Atlanta. You're not competing with Lori if you're not in Plantation. So you can use their words. It's plagiarizing. It's not plagiarizing. It's research. So we just research the words that work best in videos, and we use those exact words. Remember when I said what's the difference between baking and cooking? Half-baked videos suck. Fully baked recipes for success that Mark Spain, Lori Reader, and Rob D are using are a recipe for baking, not cooking. I flipped up on the right-hand side of your screen in the top, the idea of Airbnb homeowners, and I started this campaign myself to see how it worked. It's so funny because it worked almost exactly like expireds, and I'm going to explain what I mean. I talk to 10 expireds every morning between 7 and 9 a.m. 7 a.m., what an asshole. I call them up at 7 a.m. and I say, hey, I'm sorry to call you so early, but I wanted to catch you before you went to work. And then they go, what is it? And I go, last night I was on the MLS and I pulled up your house to show it today. And when I pulled it up this morning, it was either sold or terminated or canceled or withdrawn or something. I don't know what happened. So I was calling to find out if the price were right. I mean, I saw it was $289.9. If I got you at $289.9 and it was willing to close January 30th or even February 15th, would you still consider selling it? So expireds, 9 out of 10 would literally yell at you. And this is where the callous comes in, right? 9 out of 10 Airbnb owners will text back something like, how'd you get my number? Or, no, we don't want to sell it. We're making $9,000 a month. We don't need to sell it. But then 1 out of the 10, and this is where Mike Ferry really helped me. 1 out of the 10 say, how much is your commission? And once they say that, bing, 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 it's a listing. I mean, it's a freaking listing because that's a buyer question. So we went ahead and put down the sources where 170 listings a year come from for us, whether it's an REO listing, a pre-foreclosure listing, an Airbnb listing, a multifamily listing, or if we're focusing on hero marketing. Each of these little, sources of business that are flashing on your screen right now are a simple choice for you to build a recipe that produces a predictable recurring income for you in residential real estate. So I'm going to point to the REO sign on the top left-hand side of your screen, and I'm going to say what a realtor said to me 25 years ago, and she said, I am not an REO listing agent. And I said, why? And she said, I don't have any banks or property managers or any asset managers that are referring me REO listings. So I'm not a REO listing agent. And I said to her, REO listing agent is not something you are or aren't. It's something you do or don't do. Like push-ups. Get up in the morning, do 100 push-ups every day for 6 months, you look like a badass. Don't do the push-ups, you don't look like a badass. So if you don't do REO, you don't get REO. If you don't do pre-foreclosure, you don't get pre-foreclosure. If you don't do send a note, you don't get send a note. If you don't do hero marketing, you don't get hero marketing. So this is all about what to do, not what the opportunity is. If you're not acting as a guru in you, doing videos, you're not going to get what gurus get. So I'm going to go through this and then we're going to wrap up because I'm a little long on this. This is probably my favorite topic because 90% of real estate agents sell less than one house a month, and most real estate agents during 2000, 21, 22, 23 could make a living on buyers, no problem. There was 2% interest rates and good enough number of listings and some new builders. But if we're going to work together long term and you believe in what we're doing, we start to replace the word CMA with relocation analysis. We start to replace the word listing appointment with relocation analysis. We don't talk about listings, we talk about relocation. We don't use the word CMA, we use the word broker price opinion. And we start to say things like, I identified a group of cops and I'm going to farm it. Or I identified a subdivision, I'm going to farm it. So you start networking the niches and you start using absentee owner notes, Airbnb DMs, expired listings, pre-foreclosure and divorce, and you start to text, email, and DM them. You start to boost and target and geofence them. Imagine if you could geofence a police station, and every time the cop went to work, he got a ping. And maybe you did that once a week for a while. Like when they came to work in the morning, they got a ping. Whenever they geofence the police department, you got a ping. So direct mail is the big surprise of 2025. I think you're going to find that the elite listing agents are moving back towards at least some direct mail in connection with these digital relationships with their consumers, asking how much is your house really worth, and using the telephone and door knocking to follow up on that. Now, when they ask these questions on the far right of your screen, that's when you close for an appointment. So no good real estate agent talks about commission on the phone. No good real estate agent will price a home on the phone. But bonehead realtors who make less than 100 grand a year answer these questions on the phone. You know how I know that? I had 1,300 realtors working for me, and I used to walk around in the bullpen in some of the private office areas, and I'd listen to them. And we had these offices that had like 5 agents in an office, and they'd all be like in these cubbies, and I'd just walk around listening, and they'd say, "Do you have a buyer?" "Yeah, I probably do." "How much is your commission?" "Well, 6%. "How much is my house?" "Well, I think it's worth about $400,000. It's just they're so bad at their job. And they don't even understand that these questions on the right-hand side of your screen are the questions for the appointment. So if somebody asks me if I have a buyer, I say I have about 40 buyers between the price point of $250 and $400. And all of them are pre-qualified, and all of them are ready, willing, and able. And there's not a lot of houses to show them. But I did see your house. And the reason I called on your house is one of my buyers needs a 3.2. And yours is a 3.2. In fact, a couple of them need a 3.2. The reason I like yours is you have that big 2-car garage and you have a big old backyard. So yes, I have many, many buyers, but I have not seen the inside of your house yet. I can't really bring one of my buyers to you unless we sit down, take a look at the inside of your house, and do a little bit of mathematics. We got to do a little math to make sure you be happy. If you're happy with the math, then I can bring the buyers over. Does that work? Yes. That's how I overcome, do you have a buyer, close for an appointment? And each of those have a objection handling technique pre-programmed, like a 3-year-old's flashcards, third grader flashcards, right? How many houses have you sold? Well, we've been selling houses here since 1986. I present, there's a series of objection handling techniques that turn those questions into listings, so that once you get in the living room, this is where the relationship is built. We do a nickel tour, so you're anecdotally weaving value into the conversation, and you're pointing out upgrades to their house before they point them out to you. You bring them down to a safe island, which Floyd Wickman taught me in the 80s, and Mike Ferry confirmed in the 90s, and Craig Proctor confirmed again in the 2000s, and Brian Buffini and Floyd Wickman and Tom Hopkins and Walter Sanford, and every single one of them use this technique because it's a fantastic resource for a realtor invited into a living room to start with a nickel tour and then a safe island. And when you learn these techniques, you never have to worry about income ever again, because very few realtors in your market know how to do an effective nickel tour and an effective safe island. Then they don't really know how to push the value. Like, why should they list with you? What are you going to do for them? What can they expect from you? What is the value proposition that you're going to bring to the table for them, whether you're with Remax or Sotheby's or Coldwell Banker? And then eventually, not at the beginning and certainly not on the damn phone, pricing evaluation, pricing facts, pricing range, asking for the business, helping them make the proper commission decisions. So it's not them against you, but it's the two of you on the same side of the desk looking out of this new opportunity. This process is called the relocation analysis. This helps us build a relationship with a customer with pragmatic yet nurturing, supportive, listing acquisition. So you can get your list to last license free from HBN. We run a business development company, and we have all of these resources available for you, free from any charge for the members of HBN. You can get our squeeze pages, the same squeeze pages and scripts that Rob D, CC Underwood, Lori Ballin, Mark Spain, Lori Reeder use. These squeeze pages and back office pages. This is the math, and this is what realtors aren't necessarily used to. This was one of my banking partners for a while, and we did 2,209 leads, 2,198 new fully filled out leads, and then when they told us that they did want us to contact them and they told us they wanted to list, we called only the 96 back and we ended up with 8 listings. So this is not like do 5 push-ups, get fit. This is do 2,900 push-ups and get fit, but the squeeze pages are very, very useful. They're great for floating through your social media just so people remember you're a realtor, right? In other words, instead of sending martini pictures from Friday night and bikini pictures from Saturday and what you did on the beach and showing off the boobs, quit doing that shit. Put a squeeze page up that has a distinctive professional call to action and quit showing people your chicken pot pie and your waffles. Join us January 8th for Leo the Lion of HBN. We're taking 2 weeks off for the holidays. We're not going to be coaching next week or the week after because of the holidays, but we're going to really spend January 8th with you on the law enforcement opportunity, the Lion of HBN. There's no group available to you that manufactures more referrals than cops. I don't know why the phenomenon. I don't know why the camaraderie. I don't know why the brotherhood, but I do know that it is true. It's a proven method for marketing your real estate business to a group of people. And in this case, we're going to focus on Leo, the Lion of HBN, which is the heroes of law enforcement. We're really enunciating back the blue in 2025. And this is a great way for you to raise awareness of your brand, capture leads, and earn referrals and gain listings. If you didn't feel a call to action today, it's because it was probably a cumulative call to action. It was probably just to focus on listing relationships rather than buyers, and to use me as a resource if you need help with objection handling technique, which we just called closing questions. Nobody asks an objection handling question unless they want to sell their house. And finding people that want to sell your house is the first step. Finding people that need to sell your house is the second step. And finding people that would list with you is the third step. So you have to find people that want to sell a house, then I would say dilute it down or condense it down to only the people that have to sell. The people that want to sell, yeah, they're okay. But the people who need to sell, they're better. And we teach you how to use squeeze pages, video dialogue used by the best realtors in the country. And we already gave you about 5 of these handwritten notes to send out to heroes in your market for listings. And if you haven't sent a handwritten note to a seller in 2024, 100 handwritten notes equal listing every day of the week. So I would recommend it. It's a very inexpensive way. You can get the copies of the handwritten notes. You can get the copies of the scripts for the videos. We even give you the vendor that sells a teleprompter for your cell phone for $19. And you can buy that. We don't make any money on that, but you can buy that teleprompter so you can film videos and look like a pro. Anyway, if you want a stronger relationship with us, buy a zip code at herobenefitsnetwork.org. It's $100 a month for an exclusive geographic territory. It comes with a password protected portal and a list of prospects for you to start working with in the Hero direct marketing sector with Hero Benefits Network, the nonprofit that gives away $5,000 and $10,000 down payment assistance and relocation grants every day we're around. Thank you so much. If you want to talk to me, just call me, please, on my cell phone at 954. Jot it down, Larry. There you go. Hey, Larry, how you doing? Jot it down. It's 954-695-2314, and I am never too busy for someone who wants to take 15 listings in 2025. That'd be my best friend. Let's go take 15 listings in 2025 and high five in 2025. See you later, guys. Have a great holiday. Have a great holiday. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, and the whole nine. And we thank you so much for your support of the Hero Benefits Network. Please reach out to me directly on my cell phone. One more time, 954-695-2314. Thank you again.